Hello guys, it's me again, Gorilla. This is, well, a new what if Belle was a werewolf? Now, before I get into the video and yap your ears off, I just want to let you guys know that in this, I am literally putting it, Belle, how can I say it? I'm putting this as Belle being, Belle in general. He is the same kind of boy, just that he's got a few animal instincts. Like fight or flight, basically. And certain creatures in the dungeons do acknowledge him almost as if he is one of them. Of course, a lot of them still do attack him. There are just certain ones, like the the firehounds, that do acknowledge him. But hey, the other monsters in the dungeon don't. It's just those firehounds that do acknowledge him, almost as if he is one of them. So yeah. With that being said, Belle's relationship with everyone else. Now, when I'm starting this video off, when I'm going to start the actual whole what if, Belle is going to be a level 3. So I'm putting him 2 levels higher than what he should be normally in canon. Mainly because Belle had been in Orario for roughly around about 4 years. So he was around about 11 when he got to Orario. He found Goddess Hestia and started. Belle has no idea who he is, or even what he is. He has ideas of what he could be, but he has no idea. And his goal is not to become the greatest adventurer, but to actually find out who he is. Now, throughout the 4 years, Belle had subtly noticed the differences in himself. The more he came closer and closer to adult life, the more, how can I say it, the more aggressive he became in combat. And the more of a sort of an alpha he seemed. Now, Belle doesn't know why, how he has literally zero idea, but he also feels this yearning for the forest. Somewhere where he should truly be. He feels the yearning to go into the wilderness, to be more out there, more wild. Belle doesn't know why. But I'm going to say this, there's also a meeting that we're going into, and it's his banishment meeting. Just to let you know, I'm also bringing in a character from Elder Scrolls Online. So if you don't like where I'm going with this, I do apologise. But hey, this is where we start the video. Good and proper. In a courtroom with the gods and goddesses. Now, there are 3 goddesses at the moment. Not sure, 4 goddesses. I'm not sure what's going on. Hephaestus, basically the woman who makes the armour and that. Hestia, obviously. Loki, who doesn't really care much for Belle, but is kind of annoyed that Eyes seems to be thinking about him a lot. So she's kind of wondering why the hell this is going on. And also there's Freya. So, yeah. These 4 goddesses are wondering why the hell other gods are wanting Belle banished. And, well, throughout the meeting, Freya had been looking at everybody's soul as she had seen something dark moving through their bodies. Almost as if there was a poison that was corrupting them, making them different. So when this meeting continues, Freya's opinion didn't even matter. When she objected to all of the allegations against Bell, who, mind you, is in this place as well, along with Otter, Eyes, who the charges were for, and against from her, which wasn't actually true, she didn't even let any complaints out. The gods and goddesses, the ones who are fully corrupted, just simply give out their verdict. Bell Cornell, you are hereby banished from Arario. Your familiar status is null and void. You are no longer a familiar member of Hestia. Hestia, you have to pay out a fine of 1 trillion Valis to Eyes Wallenstein and the Loki familiar for the attempted murder, which even catches Loki off guard. She looks at Bell and sees that he is virtually horrified for what has just been said. And Loki, even though her eyes are half the time shut, she can still tell that he is completely confused of why this is even happening. And to Loki, this is just a massive disgrace. Not only to her and everybody else, but to basically Hestia, who knows Bell the most. Sure, she's wary of Freya because Freya's Freya. And the other gods she no longer cares about. Because even Loki can tell that this is just plain out wrong. If Loki had a problem with Bell along with Eyes would have told Loki herself, not told other gods. So yeah, Bell would see that, hell, Hestia's heart had just been shattered because they are basically forcing her to get rid of her only familiar member and basically remove herself from everything. Loki is kind of peeved because, like I said, even she can tell that this is wrong. And, well, Freya is just outright annoyed because they are doing this. And she doesn't know who is behind it. Darkness has creeped into everyone's souls and corrupted them. The only ones that aren't corrupted are the adventurers and the other two goddesses. But she fears that the adventurers and the other gods and goddesses have also been corrupted. So she whispers to Otter to find out what the hell's going on, to get everybody in her familiar ready for a conflict, just in case. She also tells him to tell Eyes Wallenstein this as well, which he silently goes and does. So even after the whole meeting, somehow word swiftly got out about Bell's banishment for the supposed attempted murder of Eyes Wallenstein, which a lot of the people, basically like 90% of the people believe, and the other 10% don't believe it. 10% are the ones who have seen Bell's hard work and know that he is not the murder you in your sleep kind of person. So they are all gung-ho for sticking by Bell. And they even follow him to Hestia's place, give him gifts of saying, don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of, 10% of the population actually believe you are innocent. And all the other populations do not believe he is innocent. They will believe that he is guilty. They'll just go and follow whatever the gods and goddesses say. And Freya gives him a little bit of advice to always watch his back. Who knows what they will do? So yeah, Bell would, with a cloak over his head, leave Aurario. His adventurer mark gone, and he can't do anything else. So he would generally leave and live in the forest on the outskirts of Aurario, just looking over with anger in his eyes, knowing that there are only 4 goddesses who stood up in objection for what others have all done. Now, he just leaves, goes deeper and deeper into the forest until all he can see is the tower. And if you want to know where he is literally right over there, where that faraway hill is. He's over there. He made it all the way over there in a day. Sure, that's all not forest lands, but hey. Details. So yeah, back in Aurario, Hephaestus finds herself starting to get lower on work, along with her familiar members, and, Freya is starting to get questioned why she stood by Belle, who tried to kill the Sword Princess, aka Eyes Fallenstein. Now, Loki is also getting questioned, and Loki just simply says, because she just says, Belle is innocent, and anything that he just did was complete and utter bullshit, and you know it. You just wanted him gone, because he was growing so fast. Which is actually true. Belle was actually growing pretty fast. Starting to grow pretty fast in canon. And in this, he is already growing pretty fast. So with that, he reached the level 3 when he was 13. And for the last when he was 14, sorry. So for the last year, he had been struggling and kicking and screaming his ass all the way up to level 4, only for all of his hard work to be destroyed. So yeah. Well, Freya and Loki are getting questioned. Hephaestus, Hestia, and, Hephaestus' familiar all go to Hestia to find out if there's any place that would accept gods and their familiars. Basically to work. There was only one other place, and they tried kidnapping her once before. So yeah, they only had one choice. And that was to find Belle. So, yeah. But unfortunately, they couldn't even do that. Their familiars and the gods themselves were being monitored by the familiars of the other gods who wanted Belle gone. And yeah, things were not going well. And with Belle, on the other hand, he's literally, over now, I'm just going to say this, 6 to 8 months later, Belle is still deep in the forest. Did areas moving down south. And moving even further down south, he would find a old abandoned hut. As he would generally look inside to see that there's moss growing, the wood's rotten, you name it, it was there. So he would make it better by making a house out of, well, stone, and making some sort of cement to try and, well, hold it into place. Basically, it's like brick and mortar, so yeah, he would make himself a house of sorts, which would take him roughly around about another 8 months to make, so another year in the forest. Well, so basically a year in the forest. So he's made himself pretty much a house. And yeah, he continues building himself a little place to live. He had to even go back into Arario undercover to steal seeds to make crops. Hell, he realises that he's actually pretty good at stealing. So yeah. But his inner self is always now started to turn even more aggressive. Now that he's in the forest, it's becoming unbearable. Anything that is not friend, he just attacks. Just out of the blue, he just attacks it. Hell, it could be just a casual passerby, which unfortunately happened to somebody from the Western Kingdom, just gently plodding along to Arario. He just suddenly got attacked by Bell, and everything he had was stolen. The guy himself was knocked out and almost killed when Bell stopped himself from killing him. So yeah, Bell didn't even leave a trace for him to follow. He moved that fast, straight to his homestead. Bell needed it more than he did anyway, and what Bell had was wood to build a fence, a stack of gold they didn't even need, some more clothing for himself, and as well a sword. That, again, he didn't even need. But hey, over the next month of doing that, he one day eventually, after hunting for food, he'd find someone standing outside of his hut. And a beautiful blonde-haired girl with, well, very fine skin and, well, basically a wolf tail and wolf ears. And she would be dressed like that. As she would say, "So, you're the one who lives here." As Bell would put himself in a bit of a combat stance, as he would generally ask, "Who are you?" And she would actually softly laugh, which Bell will admit he found rather cute, as she would just call herself Asia. Asia, well, Red Wolf. And Bell would kind of question the whole Red Wolf thing, as Asia would just say, that's because of my ability. I've actually turned into a wolf. Not werewolf, but wolf. By the way, before you ask, she can turn into a werewolf, she just doesn't want to say, I turn into a werewolf. And by the way, she is only a recently turned werewolf. So yeah, she's not really knowing of her strength yet. And like, well, she can tell that Belle is also a werewolf too. She just hasn't seen him before. And hell, she doesn't think that Belle even knows what he truly is. So she just generally says, do you not even know who you are? But obviously not out loud. She says that in such a low whisper that even Belle didn't hear. As you eventually see Belle sort of walking up to her in a bit of an aggressive sort of way, sort of getting very on edge himself. And she would just say, look, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just wondering why you're out here. As Belle himself would just say, I do not have to answer that question. As well, Asia Red Wolf would just bow her head, saying, I understand, and I will leave you to it. As well, she would leave. As Belle would casually just watch as she would go through the forest and leave, his nose picking up her scent, so he could easily detect her if necessary. Of course, like I said, Belle doesn't know about his abilities yet. So yeah, Belle would actually wonder who the hell she was. So, Belle would finish what he was doing. Then eventually he would pick everything up that he was using. And eventually put them all away, then walk, just casually picking up the scent of blood. Well, picking up the scent of iron in the air. So he would walk further and further away from his homestead, following this strange smell of iron, which suddenly turns into a realization in his mind. The only reason why there's a lot of iron in the air is because there's blood in the air. So with speed he never knew he had, he would be running. He would run and run, eventually jumping up onto a tree, as his eyes would begin glowing a silverish colour, as he would be watching as wolves of unknown origin standing on their hind legs would be running at people in a town. As virtually a girl with virtually blonde hair and virtually a white dress with blue trimmings, who Belle would instantly recognise as eyes, would be running. She would just fall over due to virtually being in shock and caught off guard. Yeah, she could use her adventurer abilities, but she needs her sword. A sword that she no longer has. And these... Oh, and by the way, if you guys are going to get a bit annoyed with this, but these werewolves also have, tails, extra tails, to prove what rank they are. 1 tails, they are recently turned, so they're newbies. 2 tails, strong but still new. 3, still new but got a lot of respect. 4, virtually they're powerful. They are now respected. It goes all the way up to 9. So basically, if you want to call them kitsunes, you can do. But I'm sort of doing that to sort of give out a bit of a power vacuum. If you're strong, you get to command them all. Even though technically they all just do what the fuck they want to do anyway. As they would, one of them would lunge to try and, with its maws wide open to try and bite eyes. Her luckily grabbing a piece of metal and slamming it into the thing's face, causing it to whimper and fall to the ground. Now, eyes would virtually see Belle, but because it's dark, she couldn't even see his body, but she could see his eyes. So she knew that somebody with silver glowing eyes was there. As well, Belle would watch as another blonde-haired girl would run up to Eyes, virtually help her up, and it would be Asia Red Wolf. As Asia would nod, only to get pounced on by, well, one of the werewolves. As well, Belle doesn't know it's a werewolf yet, neither does anybody else, as Eyes would once again slap it with a metal pole. Red Fox not getting bitten because she's already infected, and she already has turned into a werewolf before, would just stand up and run with Eyes. Only for Eyes' horror to watch her turn into a werewolf, grab her and continue running, only for her to stop as she would slash at another werewolf, actually piercing its chest, killing it outright. And she would even say in a husky werewolf tone, "That's one. I need to get everybody out of here. I can't do it alone. You, girl, try and help me out. Help me out, get the rest of the civilians out of here." Eyes wouldn't really, well, argue, considering she just turned in front of her and just saved her life once again. So yeah, they would both run back in to save as many civilians. Eyes would watch as a young girl around the age of 9 would get bitten on the side of the neck, or get bitten on the shoulder, and is about to get ripped apart when Red Wolf would rip off the thing's head, as the girl would be screaming in pain. Now Red Wolf would kneel down and sort of hush her, considering she's trying to make sure she stays conscious, because she knows what's about to go on. If she falls unconscious and it takes over, the infection takes over, she'll turn into a rabid werewolf that will just see things to kill. So she just tries to keep her conscious as much as possible. Luckily she does, and the girl calms down enough not to fall asleep, so the infection would slowly take over as she runs with this girl up to Eyes, who is saving a few more people. These people do not have bite marks. They do have claw marks, but no bites, luckily. As well, these werewolves would start climbing up the buildings. Hell, there'd even be a pure white one right there. As that would clearly be the leader, considering of how many tails it has swishing behind it. So yeah, if you're asking how many tails does that one have, it has around about 6, so it's very powerful and is very good at what it does. As it would say in a raspy voice, clearly male, from Eyes' hearing point, because she's heard a female werewolf before. "Kill them all. Turn them all. Do whatever you want. Our race is superior." Yes, well, the werewolves that are 3 to 1 tails would all charge at Eyes and at Red Wolf, as they would cut and bite and smash the werewolves that approach. As Asia Red Wolf would pierce the chest of one of the last werewolves, and she would throw it to the side, only to watch as somebody would jump in front of Eyes and get bitten right on their shoulder blade. Now, Eyes would actually be surprised to see that it's actually Bell. Bell himself jumped in front of her with his glowing silver eyes, even though one of his eyes is shut due to him wincing in pain. As he would, soccer punch the werewolf in the gut, even though his arm, he is literally facing eyes, he soccer punches it with his right free arm, causing it to let go, sort of wheeze. What's the... even Bell would suddenly, even by himself, shocked himself, would turn around and rip the thing's throat out, as it would just gargle on his own blood, as he would die a slow and painful death. As the one on the building would just snarl, "Interesting. Very interesting. You'll be worth finding again." As he would just turn around, jump off the building and basically flee as well. Asia Red Fox would run up to basically Bell with eyes catching him as he crumples to the floor, feeling rather tired in himself all of a sudden. He just faints. He just falls unconscious. As well, Red Fox would change out of her werewolf state, as a lot of the younger males would kind of blush at the sudden appeal of the woman standing in front of them, as she is strutting her stuff all the way up to Bell with no clothing on. So yeah, it's just like regular werewolf movies. The werewolf clothing tears off, but luckily the werewolves in this have a bit of a go around for this. Whenever they start churning, their clothes would just simply, with ease, just fall off. Like they had buttons on them all the time, so they'll just fall off, so they don't rip. So yeah, it's only the underwear that has the problem for the girls. Now, Asia doesn't actually wear the underwear because she knows whenever she turns, her pants are going to be absolutely fucked. So she doesn't wear them. So yeah, you can call her whatever you like, but just know this is actually what she does. Other female werewolves actually wear underwear, and whenever they turn, they actually have spares. Just in case. Well, that's if they do turn, just in case. So yeah, to each their own. As she and eyes would look over Bell, Red Fox would see that, or Red Wolf would see that his wounds were already healing. Yes, abilities of werewolves, they can heal. Whoop whoop. She would understand that the infection is already taking place, but she doesn't see him rapidly turning into a werewolf. So this does actually confuse her, although Bell's hair does turn into a jet black. On the spot, I might add. And his eyes go from a red into a silver colour. So yeah, she does get a little bit confused. And the girl who, was bitten gets taken away with her, without her parents, who unfortunately were killed. As, when they all leave, Eyes, Asia, Red Wolf, and the girl, who I'm going to leave it up to you. If you want her to be called Lily, then I'll call her Lily. If you don't want her to be called Lily, please leave a name for the little girl for me to call her. This is, again, all up to you. So, yeah. They would leave and go to, to Belle's homestead. Asia not really bothering to put any different clothing on. She's staying like this, even though she does actually have her clothing with her to put on. She stays like this all the way up to Belle's homestead. They put him onto a makeshift bed that he made. His eyes would actually marvel in Belle's constructiveness of an actual mud house for himself. So, Eyes stays with them. This is sort of an Eyes ship as well, but I'm going to be adding someone else to this. As you can already gather, I've already mentioned her twice. So yes, it is Asia Redwolf too. So Bella is having 2 girls with him. And plus, if you guys want Eyes Wallenstein to get bitten and turn into a werewolf, please let me know. But anyway, back to the story. With Asia Redwolf and and Eyes with the little girl in Eyes' arms, as she is actually, sleeping. No, she's not turning, because the infection has already spread too far, spread all over the place, due to the adrenaline, obviously, but because she didn't fall unconscious, she didn't lose control, so she didn't turn into a werewolf, like, straight off bat. So when she falls asleep in Eyes' arms, Eyes just, being like a big sister would, make sure she's alright. She would even grab her sword and her scabbard, including the armour that she constantly wears, as they would walk further away from everybody else. Again, they're in Belle's little homestead anyway, so they're already far away. So, Eyes would, see that Belle is in his own bed, and there's no other beds. Eyes notices that, the little girl is so tired that she can't even speak anymore. So they opt to, Asia Redwolf decides to make 3 extra beds. She has to make it stealthily because she doesn't want to wake Belle up, knowing that if he most probably wakes up, he's going to lose control. But so she just does it silently, and makes it silently. Sure, there was a few bangs by accident, but none of them actually woke Belle up. So she rapidly makes beds. One for her, one for Eyes, and one for the girl. So yeah, they all fall asleep. In the morning, they see that, that Belle is gone. So they go out to only see that Belle's back at the town that was attacked by werewolves. And he was actually studying the werewolf he actually killed. They would actually stand next to him. He wouldn't even look at them. He would just walk forward as they would walk. Just basically, all 3 of them would walk beside Belle. The girl, 10-year-old, a 9, I think I said 10 or 9. Screw it, she's 9 years old. A 9-year-old girl in Eyes' arms. Having basically a piggyback ride from Eyes. Just basically keeping her eyes covered from all the death that she is seeing. And that will honestly scar a girl like her anyway. I think it would scar any kid her age. So yeah. They would see where the white werewolf was and see where he or she ran off to. It's quite clearly a he, for what eyes could hear, but it could be just another girl just trying to act like a man. Well, she would generally be a little bit surprised that Belle would even ask, "Why are you even here, Eyes? Shouldn't you be in Arario, where your worshippers should be?" His eyes would even sort of grimace at the poor treatment he had, and she would say, "Loki and I agreed that if you're being banished, so is the rest of my familiar. Loki just said we're all free to go on what we want to do. She ain't sticking around. Her, Hestia, Hephaestus, and Freya are all gone. They've all gone to the Western Kingdom to make familiars there." "I see. So what made you come to this town?" "Wanted a new life. I want to kill the black dragon, but I can't do that now. So now I've got to feed off the land. This place was my new home for nearly a full year. And, well, this happened. I understand." As well, they would all tell that Bell was no longer as aggressive as he was. Almost as if he'd just been hit with a lot of sad news all at once. He would see the death, and apparently, to their eyes, it looked like he was crying, considering they could see tears welling up in his eyes whenever he turned around to look at some of the dead bodies of mainly women and children. Women protecting their kids, with the children just strewn out on the floor, being literally torn either in half or being just so badly mauled, it's not even funny. So yeah, Bell is trying to cope with all this death and destruction around him. Hell, he would, as they'd be walking past the tower that white werewolf was on, he would look and remember seeing it there, looking at it as if it was king of all. So he would grimace and just continue walking away from that tower, going deeper and deeper into the town. Eventually they would hear rumbling as they would look towards the door, as it turns out that the building itself just collapsed in on itself. So they didn't bother going to look any further. Bell just said, "There's nobody in there." The building collapsed in on itself because there was nobody in there, so the building collapsed. Not because it was badly damaged, because it was old. I guess the weather just finally caught up with it. So he would ask, how would he know that? He would just say, gut feeling. Eventually they would hear a door creak, as they would literally see someone shakily open it. As quite clearly it would be another young girl, around about the age of 7. She would be trying not to sob as she would ask, Are they gone? Are they gone? Please tell me they're gone." As well, Belle would walk up to her and kneel down, saying, "Yeah, they're gone. They're gone." As she would just swing it open and just hug him, as she would bawl out crying, saying they killed everyone. They killed her mummy, they killed her daddy, they killed her little brother. She was lucky to get out of there alive. But something seemed wrong to Belle, as he would ask, they said they killed your mother, right? I don't see her body anywhere. And she would just say, she turned into one of them. Her clothing ripped off, and her howl scared her so much she stayed underneath the bed. Her mother just busted through the roof and left. As they would actually look up to see that there was a hole in the roof, obviously burst from inside out. They would actually feel sorry for this girl. But Belle would pick up the scent of a bite mark as he would look down to the girl's ankle. You've been bitten. How long ago since you've been bitten? Since last night. I was too scared to fall asleep. I'm going to be truthful with you, okay? You have been bitten by a werewolf. You are infected with werewolf DNA. So that means you will turn. Not soon. Considering you didn't fall asleep, that means you most probably didn't lose control. Everybody would kind of be confused of how he would know such a thing, including Asia Red Fox, or Red Wolf, sorry, I don't know why I keep on calling her Red Fox. That's Gargiel's last name from Fairy Tale. Eventually Asia would actually ask, how would you even know that? As Bill look at her just saying, no idea. I just did. As Asia would kind of get a bit suspicious about Belle and ask herself deep down, who are you really? The girl would continue sobbing into the arms of Belle as he would just pick her up and continue walking through the street to see that there were plenty of other people who, mainly kids and a few teenagers who were hiding with their siblings, finally were able to walk out. At least partially. Some were bitten, some lost an arm, some lost a finger or two, others lost an eye, some lost an ear, but other than that they're still alive. As they all ask the same question, what do we do now? Belle would look towards at least Asia Red Wolf, who would be scratching her head. She would say that we can't just leave them here in this town. The werewolves will come back. As she would say, some of you most probably saw, there was someone who turned in the middle of a fight to save the young blondie next to me. That was me. I turned into a werewolf to save her life from getting bitten. So we need to understand where these werewolves came from. There's a lot of people will be kind of scared of her because they believe that she's coming to finish them off. Even though she just said she saved Eyes Wallenstein and the girl who had unfortunately been bitten. As even the young girl would say, she saved me too. She even saved me from turning and losing control. That wouldn't even put them at ease at all, considering that they now know that there's someone else who has been bitten. As Belle would also raise his hand saying, I've been bitten but I haven't lost control. I fell unconscious and I didn't lose it. It would still put people on edge, but they'll start calming down when Eyes walked up saying, I haven't been bitten, but I know what I saw. These two were saving this village. And I've lived in the village for only nearly a full year. So I know what it's like to be saved. So you should be thankful. They sacrificed what dignity they had to save this place. as well. Oh yeah, the ones that were blushing at Asia, Red Wolf, yeah, they ended up getting killed a few minutes later. Sorry, and they were full grown adults. As well, Belle and Asia would go around checking all of the people who came forward to see if they had any bite marks. Some of them did, others didn't. They just had very bad scratches. So yeah, then they eventually got to a teenage girl, at least huddling 3 children, one of them even being an infant. As Belle would walk up to her, and she would immediately back off with all 3. As Belle would put his hands up, saying, "I'm only checking to see if any of you are bitten." And she would just snarl at him, saying, all 3 of us are bitten. All 3 of us. I should know. I should, well, basically pull her clothing to one side to reveal her shoulder blade to show that there have been bite marks. All of us have been bitten, so you don't need to come and check. Calm down. I'm only curious. Oh, don't be any more. Well, the infant in her arms would start crying. It should basically start bouncing the baby up and down, saying, "Hush, hush, 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 hush. Mummy's here. Mummy's here." Belle, hearing her say "Mummy," understand immediately that the reason why she's so protective, mainly about the children and the baby, is because that was her baby. He then asked, "How old are you?" As she would just say 16. "I had her literally a month ago. And the father is dead." Belle would understand, just apologise for her loss. And she would just say, "He used me as a toy. So don't be sorry." Belle would understand and just apologise for not saving her sooner from being bitten. She would look at him with a bit of curiosity, as he would explain, if I got here sooner, I would have been able to save you from getting bitten. I would have been able to stop it. As she would just wave him off, saying, "Don't bother apologising. It's not your fault. I doubt you would have been able to do it anyway. And besides, you've been bitten as well. So you most probably have been bitten anyway. And your friend over there would have most probably been mauled to death. Either bitten or mauled." I understand. We just need to make sure none of us lose control. If we do and we end up attacking people, we'll end up being the monster we fought to try not to be. So yeah, they would all agree. They would all end up walking back. Belle actually seeing a decently long sword. Just ignore the wolf at the minute. And it is actually this one that it's got in the hand, that the wolf has in its hand. So yeah, it's got a red blade part to it, like the red cutting part. As well, Belle and all that, Belle would just pick it up and put it in a scabbard that was next to it. The girl he was talking to would just say, "Never seen a blade like that before. Must have been a new one that recently was bought out by my parents. My mother was a master swordsman, and she loved using swords to deal with her problems. Mainly with the people who constantly berate her for being a swordsman." "Your mother's strong then." Was. She turned. into a werewolf, along with my father. Is that how you two were bitten? No. Is that how all three of you were bitten? No, that's not how all three of us were bitten. We were bitten by another werewolf. Turned out to be our neighbour, who I also, well, her son I also had a crush on. And I saw his body. Everything. Guts, you name it. All being ripped out by some werewolf with white fur. Must have been the same one we saw up there then. As Bill would look up to the tower that they're walking past. I don't think so. It didn't have any extra tails. It was just one one tail. The one I saw. These two ladies must have seen had 5, if I remember rightly. Because I did see a 5-tailed werewolf, and it did have white fur, but no blood. So it must have been a different one then. Okay, I'll believe you on that. How would you know if it was a 5-tails? I saw a 5-tailed, I just didn't pay much attention to it. I thought it was weird, but I was more focused on the civilians getting attacked than the one not doing the attacking. As they'd all just casually walk out the village again, after doing another full sweep and shouting to see if there's anybody around, to find literally nobody. Nothing but corpses. What do? We can't just leave the village like this. What do you suggest we do? Burn it? Prepare to stop an infection from spreading. Alright. Does anybody know how to make a fire? Make fire. And his eyes and Asia, Red Wolf would put their hands up, saying, yeah, we know how to make fire. With your bare hands, not magic. Yeah, we do. Good. We're all doing that. We're going to have to set this entire town on fire. There's a lot of the kids would kind of be sad and begin crying, as Belle would kneel down in front of them saying, look, I'm sorry. You guys have lived here all your lives, or most of your life now. This is the only place you've known. Unfortunately, something like this, you're going to need to burn it. You can't allow the bodies to start decomposing, because otherwise they'll bring in a lot of nasty things. So please, if you don't like it, stay near Asia Red Wolf. She will keep you away. Everybody else, him and Eyes would start making sticks and setting them on fire somehow. As he would begin setting some of the houses on fire. As one of them, he would see a underground cellar. As he would virtually rip it open after hearing someone snivelling. As he would walk down to basically see a woman with 2 people, a man and a woman. The woman having nothing on, and the man virtually having a sword and standing in front of her, telling her to please stay calm, he will defend her. You would see that as basically a boy with jet black hair and silver eyes. Creepy, but the man slightly lowered his guard as he would ask, who are you? They would just say his name is Bell. He is here burning the village down due to all the corpses. They've got a few more survivors upstairs. But he also does ask if they've been bitten. The man's wife nods her head saying, yeah, she's been bitten. And the man just nods saying, yeah, bitten on my thigh. Wife was bitten on the chest. Bill would grimace was able to grab something to cover her up, which she does use, looking away, obviously, as she would thank him. She actually does say that she's actually scared of what she will become. She doesn't want to turn into a monster to kill people. Belle would go on a whole rant about how the only way to stop it is by learning on how to control it, that she's the one in control, not the monster, yada yada yada. Basically, both of them are full-grown adults. They're basically in their 20s, both of them. They're not like 19 to 18. They're like 20 to 25. I'm just going to say they're both in around about 24 and 23. The woman 24, the male 23. So they'll both just get up and leave. Both of them are actually newlyweds by the rings on their fingers. As they'd both, well, just walk. Belle then throwing another fire, or starting another fire. Eyes doing the same. Eventually the man and woman would make fires themselves, torches themselves, and start burning down buildings. There's a lot of these people they both do recognise, one of them even being the mayor of the town. After a few hours everything would be on fire, and everybody walking away with food, medicine, water, building materials, you name it, they have it. And basically everything to make a new beginning. As they would basically walk with Belle and go straight to his homestead. As he would just say, right, we're going to have to start making more houses now. Considering I had 3 unwelcome guests in my house, which I can't really blame them for, there's nothing really for them to do, so we're going to have to start building. The ones who no one's left out, everyone helps, including the children. That's all the kids would nod. The grown-ups would sort of grimace there. The kids also have to build a house too. But they understand that if the kids have a bunch more, nearly 100 more adults, they would be able to get nearly 2 whole buildings done. But Bill has a better idea. He says that they'll demolish the brick and mortar house behind him, and they'll build virtually like a town hall of sorts, but for people staying, so there's multiple rooms. So yeah, they would all pitch in, they would all start cutting down trees and begin making more logs, more slabs of wood to virtually make a building. And yeah, and that would take them roughly around about 4 to 6 days just to get the base down. It would take him another 4 to 6 days to get at least 2 rooms done, because obviously kids just want to go out and play, so it was taking time to build. So eventually, after getting the kids to stop playing, mucking around for a bit, they got a bit more work done. After eventually getting the whole building sorted out, after a good, I'm going to say a good 5 months to to get a big building like that sorted. Well, it's big enough for them all to sleep in. Sure, they had to take a few days off just to let the rain pass, which they had no shelter, so they had to, well, just try and huddle around the kids so the kids stayed warm, which was easier said than done. Yeah, sure, a few of them went down with colds, but it wasn't a good fire, couldn't sort out. So eventually they got the whole building sorted out. He managed to get everybody inside. They started making stuff inside as well, so they didn't have to go outside constantly. They even put tree branches and all that with leaves on top of the roof so all the water would start running off so it wouldn't damage the wood underneath, which caused everybody to be a bit more happier. Hell, there were stones, and to make there was holes in the floor and massive amounts of stones around so there could be fires to keep everybody warm, windows so all the smoke could go out. So yeah, basically they did everything they can to make it homey for people. Basically they made it so the front is open, so so they can have a big fire out there to keep everybody warm. Because eventually they would all, well, just continue walking. Or working, really. Making bigger fields, so more crops could be made. They ended up doing a lot of things. Well, Asia and Belle started having a bit of a friendship. Eyes, with still full of regret, would not talk to Belle as much, but through persistence from Belle and Asia, she'd begin slowly opening up to people. And she would even tell Asia what happened to Belle and why she doesn't want to talk to him as much in front of others, because she's worried about getting the backlash from everybody else. Asia just said that she wouldn't get the backlash from anybody else anyway, well, especially from the older generation who know what it's all about, who know how to react properly to this. So Eyes would actually tell all the adults. Sure, the kids were actually nearby, but with kids' curiosity in that, they would want to know what they're talking about. So Eyes would, along with Belle, tell them exactly why she doesn't want to talk to Belle, because honestly she's kind of upset that the goddesses and the god and goddesses just kicked Belle out for virtually no reason. There was only four goddesses who stood up for Belle: Hephaestus, Hestia, Loki, and Freya. And she would even explain what happened to the familiars over the last year. Belle would realise that Freya took Loki and Hephaestus and Hestia over to the Western Kingdom to start their own adventures up there. Now, Freya already had her familiar stay with her, so their numbers only swelled. And Eyes doesn't know where Tiana and Tiana had gone. Bet had left. He just turned around and stormed off after hearing what happened to Belle, not even having his familiar mark removed. And yes, Bet is a bit of a dick to people, but even I hope he would even see that just kicking someone out because of a supposed attempted murder would be a bad thing. So yeah. Eyes would just explain that everything had just gone downhill. She'd kept in contact with Tiona and Tiana. They actually met a couple of times in town over the year. So she does know that they're still alive. They're actually not actually excited nor happy. They seem rather depressed. So yeah, she would constantly keep an eye on them whenever they visited, stuck with them, and basically talked to them as if what just happened didn't still sting. So yeah. After telling them all that happened, and telling Belle what happened, to say the mood of everybody dampened would be an understatement. All the adults who know how bad people can be when it comes to judgments in this, but the gods of Arario were meant to be different, so to only hear that they're even more corrupt than anything else, they lose faith. Apart from Loki, Hestia, Freya and Hephaestus, who actually saw this bullshit and just walked off. And they still stood up for Belle. So yeah. And to say somebody who had been listening and watching this whole interaction, with silver hair I might add, with a lightning bolt and a small smirk, would be an understatement. And with obviously his tail and ears, it was easy for him to hear it. So yeah, to say that Bet was stalking them would be an understatement. Hell, he was actually happy that he actually found them again, but decides to, well, basically just stick around to watch over them and to see what happens. And obviously he would hear Belle speak about all the bite marks that everybody has, apart from eyes, and a few others, which are some of the kids. Now that conversation definitely caught Bet's attention. So when Belle explained what he could roughly guess from what Asia Redwolf said, that if people fall unconscious and they have a bite mark from a werewolf, they would turn. Just because their bodies were unconscious, they would just turn into a rabid animal. So, yeah. He would hear all of it. And to say that it really did pique Bet's interest would be an understatement. So, instead of just casually watching them from a distance, he would pretend he actually just stumbled upon it. But little did he know that the nose of a werewolf is always hard to fool, so Asia was already aware that he was there. And, well, just didn't bother saying anything. Just listening to Belle's analogy of what she told him. Well, basically was talking about. So when they finally all went to bed, Asia walked out. I will admit, she walked out completely butt-ass naked because she was going to turn to sort of give him a warning. So to say that Bet was a little bit shocked and a little bit, started to get a little bit horny from seeing, basically, well, hang on a minute. So yeah, to basically say, to see a beautiful woman like herself present herself completely naked in front of him, to only then turn into a werewolf form to sort of give him a very gruff and vocal warning. If he tries anything, she will not hesitate to rip his throat out. So yeah, Bet was kind of listening to that, but the nosebleed and the drool coming out of his mouth lets her know that he was not really paying that much of attention, more like paying attention to her chest, because she was virtually naked when she walked up to him. and then just turn into a werewolf. So yeah, the massive slap and her calling him a pervert for not taking her words seriously does not even snap him out. If anything, the nosebleed just got worse. As she slapped him, he went rocketing back as well. So there's a pool of blood and him with a shit-eating, perverted grin on his face. As he would even say, like a unconscious whisper, but I've never hear him saying, "so fucking hot." So, yeah, the blush on her face, even in her werewolf form, was present, and she would end up kicking him in the Rolly Johnsons, which causes him to let out a bit of a girlish scream, because A, he just had his family jewels just hit, and B, it was by the same werewolf girl who was butt-ass naked in front of him just a few minutes ago. That actually snaps him out of it and actually makes him realise that there's a fucking werewolf in his face. As he would actually tell her what was that for, and she would tell him once again about the warning. That if he does anything, she's going to rip his throat out. And Bet just nods his head saying, yeah, I got the message. As he would just get up and walk away. As he would just turn around and sort of smile, saying, "I'll see you sometime later." As she would just shake her head. And, well, Bessie would walk off. Yes, well, there would also be another creature there. One with piercing red eyes, with a slit. Well, not with a slit, just piercing red eyes. As the creature would say, "So, the werewolves are mobilizing. I must tell the Count." And, well, nothing but bats appear. And if you couldn't guess by the pure red eyes and the Count and all of a sudden the bats, yes, vampire. So, if you're going to be saying, oh, so it's going to be a war against vampires and werewolves, can I be correct? So yeah, over the next 10 days, Bet would finally rear his ugly mug to Belle after trying to drown out the most gorgeous woman in his eyes, trying to drown her out, especially with her naked form. So yeah, it doesn't really stop him from kind of having a little bit of a perverted smile. So yeah, as he would finally reveal himself to Belle, Eyes, and everybody else, as he would introduce himself as Bet from the former member of the Loki Familiar. As they would see his ears and his tail, thinking that he is a fully turned werewolf, as he would just wave his arms, saying, "No, I'm not a werewolf. At least I don't think I am." As well, everybody would kinda relax. But it would kind of be a bit suspicious about the kid with the black hair and the silver eyes, considering he's looking at him as if to say, "Bruh, what are you doing here?" Almost as if the guy knew him. So, Bet being his cocky self would just ask what is he looking at, as he would recognise the voice. "Hello, Bet. Long time no see, I guess." As the voice would immediately give Bet flashbacks of a white-haired kid with red eyes. "Belle? What the fuck, Belle?" Language, children. Oops. Sorry. But seriously, what the hell, dude? Why happened to your hair? Why are your eyes silver now? They were pitch white and red. Pitch white hair and red eyes. Why are they suddenly silver and black? I don't know. Holy bejeebus, this is gonna be weird. I gotta get used to you now being like this. So what do you want, Belle? What do you want, Bet? I came here to join you guys. All we need now is Werewolf to turn up. And the rest of the Loki familiar. No, they've all gone their own ways. I've seen Tion and Tiana recently, like literally a day ago. His eyes would actually perk up, as she would actually walk up to him, and actually, well, walk up to Belle and that. And she would look at Bet and ask, where did he see him, or see them? As he'd say, an old burnt down village. As Belle would say, yeah, the village we had to burn down. I see. Why did you have to burn it down? As well, Asia would stop him right there, saying, Bet, right, I think it's time you come out with a bit of the truth here. Never underestimate the nose of a werewolf. Remember, I spotted you straight off the bat 10 days ago. So you knew damn well that these people had been bitten by werewolves. And now that I have even more of a good scent of you, you smell as if you're a werewolf. No, I didn't know that. As well, everybody would kind of explain to Bet what happened in the whole town. That's something that he didn't hear through their conversation, and he was honestly rather shocked and confused, as he would even ask himself, do werewolves always do this? If so, I don't even want to be one anymore. As he would then ask, how many did you even kill? His eyes would just say only around about 3 to 4. There was roughly around about, most probably hundreds of them, crawling through the town, all of them freshly converted from civilians. As everybody would kind of nod. His Bet would feel rather depressed, especially for the kids who lost their parents, or their parents turned into werewolves to kill the other, or both of them just turned and just left after biting them. So yeah, Bet kind of sad now. So yeah, he would then ask, so why isn't Belle turned? And why haven't you? I know Eyes isn't bitten, but why haven't you turned, Belle? I have no idea. The only thing that happened were my eyes, and that was it. My eyes and my hair, and that was it. I understand. Well, is there any way I can fit in? Only one way to fit in, Bet. Helping us hunt and till the field. Yeah. Noted. Yes, well, Bet would start working. Alright, guys and girls, I hope you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about it. And, yeah, leave a few likes. If you do, do. If you don't, don't. Peace.